Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Bill. This video is going to be going over one of the heroic classes out of the Mythic Adventures book. The class is going to be the Guardian. So let's dive into the Guardian and see what you would get along the path and how it functions. Okay, so the role of the Guardians: when others would retreat, you stand your ground. Your place is in the front of the battle, taking every hit your enemy can give while daring them to dish out more. Your job is to stop your enemy's advance. Interpose yourself in the path of peril. You'll gladly take all the brutal punishment and return the beating with zeal. The wounds you suffer might kill a lesser hero, but you relish in the thrill of combat, confident in your physical and mental perfection will lead to victory. Classes: any class that is frequently in the middle of a chaotic melee will find many valuable abilities within the Guardian path. Barbarians, Cavaliers, Fighters, Inquisitors, Monks, and Paladins all make excellent Guardians. Some of the Guardian powers also lend themselves to Druids, Rangers, or even Summoners, granting bonuses to companions and allies. Bonus hit points: whenever you gain a Guardian tier, you gain 5 hit points. These hit points stack with themselves and don't affect your overall hit dice or other statistics. So you get Guardian's Call at first tier, and then Path ability every tier after that. And at 10th tier, you get True Defender. So Guardian's Call. So you pick one of the Guardian's Calls. There are 3 of them. Once it's chosen, it can't be changed. So Absorb Blow. As immediate action, whenever you take a hit point of damage from a single source, such as a Dragon's Breath, a spell, or a weapon, you can expend 1 use of Mythic Power to reduce the damage you take from the source by 5 per tier to a minimum of 0 points of damage. If you have another ability or effect that reduces damage, such as Protection from Energy, reduce the damage with the Absorb Blow ability before applying any other damage reducing effects. For every 10 points of damage that this ability prevents, for 1 minute you gain DR1 Epic and 5 points of resistance against acid, cold, electric, fire, and sonic damage. The DR and the resistance stack with any other DR and resistances you have. Beast's Fury. A swift action: you can expend 1 use of Mythic Power to imbue your animal companion, cohort, Eidolon, familiar, or bonded mount with some of your Mythic Power. So it allows you to share your Mythic Power with your mount. Sudden Block. As an immediate action, you can expend 1 use of Mythic Power to hinder a melee attack made against you or an adjacent ally. Add your tier to your AC or your ally's AC against this attack. The creature making the attack must make 2 attack rolls and take the lower result. Once the attack is resolved, you or your ally, your choice, can make 1 melee attack against the creature. The damage from this attack bypasses all damage reduction. So out of those, the 2 I like playing Fighters and Barbarians a lot is the Absorb Blow as a Barbarian or Fighter, or the Sudden Block. I would lean more towards the Absorb Blow, but that's just me. And then you get Path abilities, and then True Defender at 10th tier. Whenever you take damage from a melee or ranged attack scored by a non-mythic creature, the damage is halved. This reduction is applied after all other reductions in damage, such as energy resistance or damage reduction. Once per round, when an enemy scores a critical hit against you, you regain 1 use of Mythic Power. Okay. So, first tier Guardian Path abilities. Adamantine Mind. Your mind is as hard as any armor and is dangerous to engage. You gain a bonus equal to your tier on saving throws against mind-affecting effects. Whenever you succeed at a save against a mind-affecting effect, the creature attacking you with that effect must succeed a will save at the same DC or be stunned for 1 round. Additional Call. You learn an additional Guardian's Call ability. You can select this ability twice. So you could essentially learn all the Guardian Call abilities, the Sudden Block, the Beast Fury, and the Absorb Blow, if you take that as your tier ability twice. Armor Master. You don't take an armor check penalty or incur an arcane spell failure chance when wearing light armor or using a shield, including a tower shield. In addition, the maximum dexterity bonus of light armor doesn't apply to you. You can select this ability up to 3 times. Each time you take it, it applies to the next grouping of armor, medium, then heavy. Armored Might. You treat armor bonus from your armor as 50% higher than normal, to a maximum increase of half your tier. For example, if you're a 4th tier and wearing +2 breastplate, you treat the armor's +6 bonus as a +8 bonus, limited to +2, which is half your tier. Avenging Maneuver. Taking grievous wounds only empowers you. Any creature that confirms a critical hit with a melee attack against you provokes an attack of opportunity from you. You can use this attack of opportunity only to attempt a bull rush, a disarm, a sunder, or a trip combat maneuver check. You don't provoke attacks of opportunity for attempting this combat maneuver check. Borrow Elements. When you take acid, cold, electric, fire, or sonic damage, you store some of this energy within yourself and can direct it outwards through your attacks. Whenever you take energy damage, you gain an amount of energy of that type equal to half the damage taken after any resistances or immunities are applied. Whenever you hit with a melee attack, you may expend 5 points from the pool of one energy type to have the attack deal an additional 1d6 points of energy damage of that type. So that can be useful. I don't see that being great, but I can see that being very useful. The only reason I don't see that being great is the amount of damage you have to take first. Burst Through. Whenever you charge, you can move through squares containing allies and opponents almost as if there was as if they were not obstructing your charge. Draw Fire. As an immediate action, when an ally within 30 feet is targeted with a ranged weapon attack, you can have that attack target you instead. If you would normally be out of range for that attack, the attack is able to hit you as if you were at maximum range. You can use this ability without using an immediate action by expending 1 use of Mythic Power. Empathic Healing. You can expend 1 use of Mythic Power to transfer up to 10 points of damage per tier from a touched ally to yourself, healing the target and damaging you. This transferred damage bypasses all effects that would reduce or negate hit point damage. That could be useful if you have a massive amount of hit points and you need to keep people alive, or you need to bring up a healer to be able to heal y'all properly. So I can see a barbarian taking that and going, okay, well, fighting's over. I'm still alive, but the cleric's down. Let's go bring up the cleric. Ever Ready. Whenever you make an attack of opportunity, you gain a bonus on the attack and damage rolls equal to your mythic tier. Fast Healing. As a swift action, you can expend 1 use of Mythic Power to gain Fast Healing 5 for 1 minute. This ability can be taken a second time at 3rd tier or higher, and a 3rd time at 6th tier or higher. Each additional time you take this ability, Fast Healing increases by 5. So if you take it 3 times, you could Fast Heal 15 for 1 minute. For just 1 minute. But hey, 15 for 10 rounds, that's 150 hit points. Especially if the fighting's already over. And if the fighting's just beginning, that's even worse because now you're healing while you're fighting. Guardian Shout. So when you make a reflex save to avoid an effect that could affect multiple creatures, you can spend 1 use of your mythic power to call out a warning to your allies. Any ally within 100 feet you can hear you can get a bonus equal to your tier on their saving throw against the effect. That's okay. Immovable. Add your tier to your CMD whenever an enemy attempts to bull rush, drag, reposition, or trip combat maneuvers. Imprinting Hand. By touching a foe, you can gain knowledge about it, including its weaknesses. Requires unarmed strike, natural weapon, or melee touch attack to make contact. This ability is a free action. As long as it's within 1 mile of you, you always know the direction and approximate distance of it. Knowledgeable Guardian. Add double your tier as a bonus to knowledge checks. You attempt to identify monsters, including checks to learn any special powers or vulnerabilities. As a free action, you can expend 1 use of mythic power to telepathically communicate the knowledge you obtain from the checks to all allies within 100 feet. Lessons learned. You adapt quickly to the perils presented in battle. Whenever you fail a saving throw against a supernatural or spell-like ability, you gain +5 bonus on all further saving throws against that ability, including subsequent saves against an ongoing effect or against the same effect produced by a different source or creature. That can be very useful, especially for a barbarian. Mythic Companion. Select 1 animal companion, cohort, eidolon, familiar, or bonded mount. That creature can use a surge ability a number of times per day equal to your tier. Mythic Mercy. When you use the Mercy Paladin class feature, your caster level check to remove curses, diseases, and poisons automatically succeed unless the affliction is from a mythic source. That's useful for a paladin, very useful. Pack Wild Shape. When you use the Wild Shape class feature, you can also transform allies when you change shape. When you use Wild Shape, you can expend 1 use of mythic power to select a number of willing allies equal to your tier. These allies take the same animal form as you do, with the same abilities as yours. Divide the duration of that use of Wild Shape evenly, rounded down among yourself and the affected allies. Partial Transformation. When you use Wild Shape, you can expend 1 use of mythic power to only partially transform into or out of animal forms. For example, you could transform your hands into tiger claws, your head into a tiger's head. You could transform into a Dionysus with human hands, so on and so forth. So you could mix or match. You could almost be a hybrid like Lycanthrope with that partial transformation. Quick Recovery. Whenever you are dazed, dazzled, deafened, sickened, or stunned, reduce the duration of the condition by half. That can be useful if you're suffering those conditions often. Raise Animal. By burying the corpse of a dead animal and expending 1 use of mythic power, you can raise it from the dead overnight. And at 1st tier, it functions as Raise Dead. At 3rd tier, it functions as Resurrection. At 6th tier, it functions as True Resurrection. Ranged Disarm. You can use your ranged attacks to disarm an opponent, attempting a disarm combat maneuver check using your dexterity modifier instead of your strength modifier and adding your tier to the roll. Using this ability does not provoke an attack of opportunity. If your attack is successful, your target drops 1 item of your choice that it is carrying, even if the item is wielded in 2 hands. If you exceed the CMD of the target by 10 or more, the target drops the item it is carrying in both hands. Unlike the melee disarm, failing an attack by 10 or more does not make you drop your weapon. Relentless Healing. You can restore life to the recently dead. If it has died within 1 round, as a free action, you can expend use of mythic power when casting a healing spell or using a class feature that heals damage to apply that healing to the dead creature. If the healing brings the creature's hit points above the threshold for death, it comes back to life and stabilizes at its new hit point total, similar to the way Breath of Life functions. Otherwise, it remains dead. Alternatively, you can expend 2 uses of mythic power on a dead creature that would have the ability to magically heal itself if it were alive, such as a dead cleric with prepared Cure Light Wounds spell, in order to trigger the most powerful healing magic it knows or has prepared. If this brings the creature's hit points above its death threshold, it returns to life. Retributive Reach. Treat your reach as 5 feet greater than normal for the purpose of determining whether or not you can make an attack of opportunity. That's useful. Sacrificial Shield. Once per round, when you would normally be hit by a weapon attack, you can use your shield to block the attack. You must be using a shield in order to use this ability. Subtract your shield's hardness and hit points from the damage to the attack and apply the remaining damage to your hit points. If the shield takes enough damage to destroy it, it is destroyed. So if you're using a whole bunch of wooden shields that would break, wouldn't hurt anything, you'd just lose them. Good reason to carry a whole bunch of them. Supreme Tracker. If you have something that carries a creature scent, such as a personal item or a piece of flesh, you can expend 1 use of mythic power to create a supernatural bond that allows you to track that individual. As a free action, you can sense the creature's general direction and distance, as well as know whether it is alive, dead, destroyed, dying, or undead. That is cool. And at 6th tier, you can track the creature even if it's on a different plane. That's cool also. So that's the 1st tier abilities. So let's enter the 3rd tier abilities. Cage Enemy. You can pin enemies foolish enough to face you. As immediate action, you can expend 1 use of mythic power to hinder opponents until the end of your next turn. When this ability is active, any creature moving out of one of your threatened squares, even when making a 5-foot step or using a form of movement that does not usually provoke an attack of opportunity, provokes an attack of opportunity from you. Excuse me. Dimensional Grappler. When you have an opponent grappled or pinned and it attempts to use teleportation effect, you can attempt a will save against the effect, even if it would not normally allow you to save. If you succeed, you learn the type of teleportation effect, such as dimensional door, and the creature intended destination, and then may prevent the effect as if using the quicken dimensional anchor, using your character level as your caster level, or accompany the opponent as if you were part of its gear with negligible weight. That is very good if you're fighting people that teleport away, dimension door away, especially while you're grappling them. That can keep you in the heart of the combat with them. Drive Back. As a full round action, you can attempt 1 bull rush combat maneuver check and apply it to opponents within reach. If you have the whirlwind attack feat, you can use this ability at the same time you make an attack against each foe within reach, allowing you a free bull rush against every foe you hit. Earth Protection. As long as you're in contact with the earth or unworked stone, you can expend 1 use of mythic power as a standard action to draw energy from the earth and radiate it outwards, granting yourself and allies within 30 feet DR 10 to adamantine for 1 minute. That can be useful, but I can also see that being limiting. Would definitely be useful to take if you're very landbound or your party does a lot of venturing underground. Impervious Body. You gain DR 5 Epic. This ability can be taken a 2nd time at 6th tier or higher, and a 3rd time at 9th tier or higher. Each additional time it's taken, the DR increases by 5. So if you take it 2 more times, your DR is 15. I would take that, especially as a barbarian, and I'd definitely take that as a fighter. As a paladin, it could be useful. As a ranger, it'd be useful. As a druid, it could be useful to take at least once. So I'd definitely recommend taking that at least once. Impervious Companion. You make your bonded creature more resistant to damage. Select 1. Animal Companion, Eidolon, Familiar, blah, blah, blah. This creature gains an epic damage reduction that you gain from the Impervious Body path ability. Incredible Parry. You gain the Duelist Parry ability. Gold Rulebook 300, page 383. And you may expend 1 use of mythic power to add a number equal to your tier to the parry roll. Parry spell. As an immediate action, you can expend 1 use of mythic power to block a spell targeting you or an ally adjacent to you. This spell must be a ray, a single target spell, or a spell that creates an effect targeting one creature, such as Acid Air. And the level of the spell slot must be equal to or lower than your tier. So that could be useful, and that could be very entertaining. Possess Companion. You can spend 1 use of mythic power to project your soul from your body and into your animal companion, cohort, etc., as if possessing that creature within a magic jar spell. Unlike the magic jar, the companion creature's soul remains within its body, allowing you to know what it knows and share its memories. This effect lasts until you end it as a standard action. Shrug it off. Whenever an enemy confirms a critical hit against you or an animal companion, etc., you 1 use of your mythic power as immediate action to convert the critical hit to a normal hit. That is very useful. I definitely take that as a fighter or a barbarian. To the death. You can shrug off wounds that others would find devastating. When below 0 hit points, you don't fall unconscious, but are instead staggered. You lose 1 hit point at the end of each turn when you take a standard action while staggered in this way. I would definitely take that one. Turn the tables. If a creature fails a combat maneuver check made against you, as an immediate action, you can expend 1 use of mythic power to attempt the same maneuver against that creature. You receive a +10 bonus on this combat maneuver check. If I was using a character that used lots of maneuvers, I would definitely take that one. So 6th tier Guardian Path abilities. Cling to life. When you die, as long as your body remains, you can be healed by any spell or effect that heals damage, though you regain only half the normal number of hit points. If you are healed to full hit points, you come back to life and gain 1 permanent negative level for each minute you were dead. These negative levels can be removed as normal. Until you're healed to full hit points, you don't regain consciousness and are still dead no matter what the other abilities you might have. If you aren't brought back to life within a number of minutes equal to your total character level, your death is permanent, although you can still be brought back by a spell such as Raise Dead. That could be useful, especially if you're likely to go down as a barbarian, ranger, fighter, paladin. Companion power. You can select your companion, animal, whatever. This creature gains 1 Guardian Path ability as if it were a 1st tier guardian. If that ability can be used only by expending mythic power, your companion can instead use that ability 3 times per day. That's cool. Indomitable. Select one of the following conditions: bleed, blinded, confused, dazed, deafened, entangled, fatigued, frightened, shaken, sickened, or staggered. You are immune to that condition. Greater and lesser versions of the selected condition, such as panicked, a more powerful version of frightened, still affect you. To be immune to bleed, that would be good. Invincible stand. You can expend 1 use of mythic power as a swift action to make yourself nearly invincible for a short period of time. You gain DR 20 dash for a number of rounds equal to your tier. If you choose to move or are moved by another creature during this time, this protection immediately ends. So cool. If you wanted to be the last one across the bridge and don't want your enemies following, that's a good one. It's good for a number of reasons, but that's the one that pops into my mind immediately. Mythic Resolve. You're imbued with powers that and grace that protects you. Whenever you attempt a saving throw, you can expend 1 use of mythic power to roll again. You can use this ability more than once and take the highest result of all the rolls. You can use this ability only after the initial roll is made, but before the results are revealed. Using this ability doesn't require an action, and it can be used as long as you are conscious. Take the hit. You are a living shield for your allies. Whenever an adjacent ally takes damage from a melee or range attack, As an immediate action, you can split the damage. You take half of the damage, rounded down, and your ally takes the remaining amount. This damage is not subject to any resistance or damage reduction you might have, but any such defenses the target of the attack possesses apply before the damage is split. You don't suffer any other effects from the attack, such as disease, grab, or poison. That is the last one. So that is the Guardian build for a mythic character. Those tier abilities are interesting, and a lot of them I would use as normal fighter or barbarian. And a lot of those could be very, very powerful, especially in the application I would use them. So if anyone's played a Guardian, seen a Guardian, used a Guardian mythic character, let me know. Well, until we all meet again.